In the late Mesozoic era, an age that deified the immense, the fierce, and the proud, nearly all titanosaurs strove with every ounce of their might to make their bodies heavier and their necks longer. Yet, on that ancient land of South America surrounded by warm ocean currents, there evolved an exceptionally unique, almost nonconformist miniature giant. It possessed no towering stature, but beneath its skin was a densely embedded layer of stone-hard, bumpy osteoderm nodes. Tonight, by the gentle flicker of the hearth, let us immerse ourselves in this story, one you need not effort to remember, and step into the true lifetime of this ancient creature. Please try to let your shoulders sink slowly, relaxing your cervical spine and back which have been pulled taut all day, just as if we are stepping stride by stride onto that noise-free prehistoric beach. The friend we are about to speak of is named Nukensaurus, a small titanosaur that wrapped the gentlest soul in the world within the hardest exterior. During countless days filled with survival competition and territorial clashes, these hard bony nodes upon its body were often viewed as cold armor to fend off predators. Yet whenever night falls low and the clamorous world returns completely to silence, these misunderstood hard nodules, under the solace of warm tides, transform into nature's most wondrous, natural massage stones. It lies perfectly flat upon the fine white sand which has been baked by the fierce sun all day and still retains a deep, thick residual warmth, closing its eyes and allowing the waves to wash over its back gently and rhythmically. Now, the pace of the world has slowed down entirely. Please follow the steady, slow breathing of the Nukensaurus, casting off all tightness within your body piece by piece, and begin this ancient meditation on touch and healing. The Patagonia of the late Cretaceous was a land overflowing with extreme contrasts of power, its earth interwoven with the roaring of volcanoes and the trampling of violent behemoths. Within this jungle dominated by giants, the existence of Nukensaurus was itself a baffling riddle, for its body length was a mere few meters, looking like an ungrown child within a family where members easily reached tens of meters. However, it was precisely this small size that granted it a flexibility and extremely low cost of survival unattainable by its gargantuan peers when confronting brutal environmental crises such as droughts and volcanic eruptions. But as a price, it had to endure more direct and frequent fatal threats from terrestrial carnivorous dinosaurs, forcing it to maintain an exceptionally high state of mental alertness every single second of the daytime. To survive without the advantage of absolute height, its skin underwent a long and arduous evolution, swelling up into shields and nodules composed of hard calcium within the dermal layer. These bony cluster densely across its neck, back, and tail, making its body surface look like a rough bed of bumpy, ancient cobblestones. Baked by the harsh sun of the day, Nukensaurus always carried this heavy defense, searching painstakingly through the dry inland brush for low shrubs and ferns. The fierce sun baked the nodules on its back until they were hot and brittle, and its back muscles, kept in a state of prolonged defensive tension, accumulated dense knots of ache and stiffness under this weight. Whenever the footsteps of a large carnivorous dinosaur echoed from afar, it had to press its body flat against the ground, letting those hard bone clusters absorb every violent tremor traveling through the earth. That crushing weight of the era and the heaviness of its body left it profoundly exhausted during the day. Its muscles resisted and tightened, and its soul yearned for a touch of coolness and complete surrender. The long, scorching day finally drew down its curtain within that low-saturation shimmer of dark gold dusk on the horizon. The night spread soundlessly like a gentle tide, cleanly wiping away the parching heat and terror across the Patagonian wilderness, draping a secure nocturnal skin over all creation. Those violent predators of the day had also exhausted their energy by now, releasing heavy, slow snores within distant valleys, and the world finally recovered its rightful serenity in this very moment. Nukensaurus slowly opens its eyes. It chooses not to remain within that inland jungle where it was tightly strung all day. Instead, it walks with steady, slow strides toward the coastline. Its uncommonly stocky limb bones emit a rhythmic, exceptionally soft rustling sound as they step onto the loose sand, a physical touch carrying a distinct warmth. The cool night breeze blows head-on, washing away the residual volcanic ash from its skin, bringing the moisture and slight saltiness characteristic of the deep ocean core, granting its parched nostrils a boundless refreshment. As it draws closer to the shore, the texture of the sand becomes increasingly fine and loose, even carrying that thick, internal warmth left behind deep within the sand layers after being baked by the sun. Nukensaurus stops its steps slowly upon a pristine white beach as smooth as satin and far removed from the clamor. Those eyes, usually so guarded during the day, are now brimmed with the tenderness of the moonlight. It takes a deep breath, the cool air filling its lungs, before exhaling it drawn out and light, transforming into a faint wisp of white mist in the air. Within this late-night theater belonging entirely to itself, free from the chase of survival, it begins to try unlinking that yoke named hardness which it carried all day long. Yielding to the deepest instincts of its body, Nukensaurus begins to perform an exceptionally relaxing action upon this warm beach. It slowly curves its stocky forelimbs, pressing its abdomen snugly against the soft white sand, and immediately following, it fully flattens its hind limbs, letting its entire heavy bulk lie completely flat. The exact instant its back contacts the sand, those densely packed, bumpy osteoderm nodes sink deeply into the warm, elastic layers of sand. This body, pulled tight for years and nearly petrified by the pressures of its era and environment, is perfectly cradled in this moment by countless rounded sand grains holding the residual warmth of the volcano. The temperature of the sand is so flawlessly appropriate, it holds none of the stinging pain of the daytime sun, offering instead a steady, ceaseless sensation of a hot compress, much like a thick, heavy blanket. The warmth travels through the rough skin, beginning to seep inch by inch into the spaces between the Nukensaurus's osteoderms, starting to soothe those back muscles aching intensely from the prolonged tension of the day. Those hard nodules on its back, originally meant for defense, turn instead under the compression and support of the sand into precise pressure points, translating the gravity of the earth into an exceptionally relaxing, broad-area physical massage. Each bony node sinks down toward the depths of the sand, and every tight fiber of muscle dissolves strand by strand under the penetration of the heat. Nukensaurus slightly closes its eyes, releasing an incredibly faint sigh of contentment that instantly dissolves into the boundless night and empty coastline all around. You can try to do the exact same as it, imagining a wisp of warm, fine sand gently wrapping around your back, carrying away all the burdens and tightness accumulated across your shoulders and waist. While Nukensaurus is immersed within the warm cradle of the beach, the deep ocean afar begins to slowly pull open the night's tide under the summons of gravity. That is the oldest and gentlest physical therapy of nature, holding not a trace of haste, holding only a ceaseless cycle of relief. The first warm, low-contrast shallow wave, like an exceptionally soft wisp of azure gauze, slides unhurriedly across the beach, eventually washing over the stocky tail and the margins of the Nukensaurus's back. The temperature of the sea water blends flawlessly with the residual heat of the beach. As it flows over those uneven osteoderms, the liquid stream produces countless exceptionally tender physical eddies between the bone clusters. These eddies act like pairs of invisible, supple hands, tracing the grain of the skin to caress and knead those long stiffened nodules upon its back over and over. When the wave swells up, it brings a heavy yet intensely liberating physical thrust, pressing the nodes across its entire back into the depths of the sand with a gentler force. When the wave recedes, it carries away all the lingering heat and volcanic ash from the skin's surface. Washing up, retreating, washing up again, retreating again. This action repeats unceasingly over the Nukensaurus's back with an almost eternal, hypnotic rhythm. It can clearly perceive that each brushing of the tide carries away a strand of stubborn ache from the core of its muscles, and that fine, warm water touch grants its nerves the most absolute cleansing. The bowstring-named defense within its body has completely softened by now. It is no longer an eccentric dinosaur hiding and dodging across the Cretaceous wilderness, overflowing with anxieties over appearance and survival. It has merged into one with this warm beach and this soothing tide, becoming an incredibly blissful life savoring the highest grace of nature in the deep night. As the tide continues to rise, the warm sea water eventually bathes the greater half of the Nukensaurus's bulk with immense tenderness, leaving only its undulating, massage stone-like spine glistening with a moist sheen under the moonlight. By now, it has entered an intensely deep state of meditation, the sound of the wind across the world and the faint vibrations of the volcanoes turning into meaningless, ancient background sound by its ears. Inside its mind, the only thing existing with clarity is that ceaseless, fine friction of the water traveling from its skin, and that steady temperature deep within the earth resembling a mother's heartbeat. It begins to regulate its breathing, forcing that heavy respiration belonging to a giant beast to yield entirely to the rhythm of the waves lapping the shore. As the wave surges up to bathe the bone clusters, it inhales soothingly, letting the warm energy fill its chest. As the wave recedes to carry away the sand grains, it exhales serenely, releasing the final trace of fatigue from its core completely. Around its limbs, some tiny prehistoric fish and shrimp swimming in the night, perceiving the unaggressive kindness radiated by this living mountain pillar, actually gather close. They weave through its short toes and blow bubbles within the bumpy bone crevices of its skin surface, using minute sensations of touch to add the final strand of fluid poetry to this late-night physical massage. Nukensaurus endures all of this silently, its inner heart overflowing with a deeply rich certainty. It no longer resents why it failed to grow into the grand proportions a titanosaur ought to have. For though height can touch the starry sky, it can never lie flat like this to embrace the warmth of the earth with its entire bulk, yielding its whole heart to receive the cleansing of a tide. The moonlight completely breaks its shadow within the warm ripples, like a prehistoric dream spanning 100 million years, quietly welcoming its ultimate fulfillment along this serene coast point 100 million years later, when modern expedition teams unearth the fossilized osteoderms bristling with hard nodules from the rock layers of Patagonia, long since weathered into dry red soil. The world often marvels only at the hardness of its armor. Yet, those cold stones and those uneven textures are actually a physical instruction manual on how to grant the body absolute relaxation, perfectly sealed away by time. That small giant dragon lying flat and loose upon the warm beach, allowing the tide to wash over its back muscles, used its unique skeletal build to answer that eternal riddle of life's hardness and gentleness. Some armor is born not to stab at the world, but merely to better bear the deep affection of the earth in the vacant deep night. Now, the story of Nukensaurus has also slowly walked to its curtain call, and the white sand it once lay upon, along with the warm tide it once felt, have all transformed into the safest, most comfortable sleep sanctuary around you. You no longer need to keep your shoulders and back tense over the rush of the day, nor do you need to keep your nerves hyperexcited over problems that cannot be solved. On this warm bed, please try, just like it did, to fully flatten your limbs. Your bed is that ancient beach baked hot by the fierce sun, still retaining a dense warmth, and your blanket is that exceptionally gentle, warm, and inclusive nocturnal tide, washing over your body over and over to carry away all the load within your muscles. The hearth fires flicker gently, the final trace of mild ember flowing silently in the corner of the room like a whisper of a soft carrying the earth's warmth. Please slowly and securely close your eyes, letting your consciousness sink along with those echoes of the prehistoric tide, surging and retreating, loosening and tightening, down into the depths of this sleep extremity free of noise, holding nothing but boundless embrace. Under the watch of the Nukensaurus's natural massage stones, may you shed all defenses of your body and sink into the deepest, sweetest dreamland. Good night, and may you have a beautiful dream of warm white sand, of soft tides, and of a body completely set free.